Right. Well, welcome to my video. What is it? My Life Part 4. Welcome to Richard and the probably the troll hater who loves me so much. Yeah, thanks Richard for giving me an information about what the ATS stands for, that my mother was in through Second World War. I went to the Natural History Museum, that's right. I was there 7 years. Started off, well, stayed as a museum warder. What that entailed is staying, you got assigned every morning to different galleries. Might be the dinosaur gallery, bird gallery, human biology, the Great Hall, meeters and greeters, mineral gallery. We had, oh blimey, what's his name? I can't think of the name now. I'll get it back again soon. He did the evolution. I can't think of his name. There was a big statue of him as well up the main staircase. And the dinosaur, Diplodocus, in the main hall. And now they're trying to put the blue whale in there from the mammoth hall now. I can't see it working. Bird gallery and the dinosaur gallery all in one, because birds came, descendants of dinosaurs. So anyway, it was very interesting. We went all different parts, different galleries, and I finally ended up, well, for a while, 3 years in the same gallery, which was called the Mineral Gallery. Me and another warder, he'd been there some time. He weren't far off the age I am now, called Dougie Jones. He passed away, about 20 years ago now, because it's about 20 years, 21 or 2 years since I left there and went into security again. Yeah, that was fascinating. I mean, my wife just bought me a book on rocks plus little samples you can make into a bigger case. I don't know if it comes out on camera properly. They're in cases like that. I don't know how good that will come out. It's actually encased in water. I think it's water. I haven't read the proper magazine yet. But you could build it up and all these interlock, these frames. So I was interested in that. You had all, gold nuggets. And the interesting part wasn't the gold or diamonds, it was the minerals. You had tiger. This is some time now since I've thought of these. What was it? Bluestone. You had gypsum, the common quartz one, which I reckon is the most common one out. And there was, oh God, there must have been about 100 or so cases on display. With all different fantastic shades. Some look like roses, some look like animals, and they had pyrite, which is fool's gold. And I always remember when I was a kid at school, the teacher used to say, the geological person, teacher, used to say, nature doesn't do straight lines. And he was wrong there, because these pyrite fool's golds were in sort of like cubes. They hadn't been cut, and they had straight lines like cubes, which is really strange. But we was in there 3 years. We had a few laughs, but you didn't get so many people come up there, except people that were actually in that sort of field. I got to know quite a lot of the staff, and they got to know us because we were the regular warders in there, but all the others still went to different galleries every day. One of the fellas there, when I left, the time I left, he was around 24, 28. He's now in charge. He's about 50 now. And Alan Hart, his name is. And he still remember when I came back years and years later to visit, and I asked to see him, and he was there, because we used to have a right laugh when I was there. We used to go behind the scenes, because you had a key that could go in any door in the museum that you knew of. And the strangest thing, though, you get some weird customers. There was a bloke come in once, and he wanted to know the shape of the museum. And I thought, fair enough, because it is like a shape, especially if you look at the blueprints and all that. That was all right, but one fella came in, and unbelievably, he wanted to know how much the museum weighed. You didn't know whether to laugh, cry, take him serious, or hit him, right, right nutter. And another one come in once. He weren't interested in the stuff. He wanted to know all about the display cases. You know, not what was in them. And they was, oh, God, 100 odd years. And I thought, is he trying to find out how they work so he can come in and nick the diamonds or something? But I did tell him downstairs in what was known as the key pound, where the supervisors and the superintendent of Borden was like. Because apparently years before they had somebody had actually had a small drill. I don't know, I suppose it must have been electric, and had drilled a small hole in one of the cases. Of course, he didn't realise they were alarmed. So they grabbed him, like, you know, oh dear. Because when at night time, they used to switch on an alarm. And they reckon they could hear a mouse go across the floor in that place, let alone a burglar. Although I don't know how you get in, because we used to lock it all up with wrought iron gates as well. Yeah, so that went for about 3 years, and then they decided to put us all over the place, go back on a rota system. Excuse me. And that was when they started charging excuse me, for people to come in to the museum for a while. It had all stopped the time I left. It just didn't work. Now I believe you don't stay in a gallery now. They don't have museum wardens. They hire out to a security firm like what I used to work for when I left there. I went into security. So they don't pay no sick pay or holiday pay. And they don't stay in the same gallery. They actually take people round and the rest of it. I had a mate who started a couple of months after I did. We nicknamed him Cowboy because he joined one of these cowboy clubs. I don't know whereabouts in London, probably Soho, where you do these fast draw contests. He's a big Elvis fan and all. He wouldn't watch anybody taking off Elvis. You know, it was a nutter like that. And I've lost my track now, haven't I? Well, I was saying about Cowboy. Oh, I can't remember. Oh dear. Gone off the track. This is what happens when I get old. I can't remember why I was bringing him up. He was exception to the rule. He couldn't read people really. He'd make really silly remarks or something when he was on the door, meeters and greeters, and one he didn't get hit. Things he used to come out with. I still can't remember. Oh, yes, I can. He was always caught off his gallery, and he'd be taking people around, which he weren't supposed to do then. Oh, don't know how he didn't get the sack. He did something wrong, though, in the end, and I never see him go, and he had 15 minutes to clear his locker out and go. So, I don't know what it was. Excuse me a minute, because I've got quite a cold, the old voice. It's only Diet Coke. Can't drink anymore. What's the time? 8:22. I mean, on here. Yeah, so that was good. I mean, I used to go, there was a kid, it was known as the Dinosaur Museum. In South Kensington it is. You got the Science Museum round the corner. Over the road you got the Victoria and Albert Museum. Teetering on the edge of Knightsbridge, really. The Geological Museum was the Geological Museum when I was there, but when I left, just before I left, we took it over and it became part of our museum, and then I went back years later and it really is part of the History Museum now. The geological part isn't in there anymore, the rocks and stuff. And they did a thing about space travel. There's a massive great escalator there, like a moving staircase. I think they call it different, don't they, in America. And a great big globe. It was on the news when they done it. I don't know whether it was in the US as well. They put all that there, but it just wasn't the same. Not to me. I could still see it as it was. But it was an interesting 7 years. You know, and I don't know why, but they suddenly brought in a thing. If you'd been there over 5 years and were under 50, you could take a lump sum. It was enormous, and I thought, I don't know why. But anyway, I went up to see him, and I'd been there over 5 years, and I was 47, so I was under 50. And I left. And with this money, like, and then even my insurance man couldn't make it out. I got a cheque from the Inland Revenue for something like £25,000, and nobody ever could find out why and where. I'd opened some sort of loophole, and so every year I wondered if another load had come through, but it didn't. Don't know where that came from. Really strange. So I left there. I did try to get back later. Like, if you went, was it 3 years, you didn't have to pay any money back. You know, the lump sum that you'd had. That was good. But I didn't get back. I didn't even get a letter for an interview. I didn't get on with the superintendent who used to be a warden in the Geological Museum. I didn't get on with him, not like the one that I knew, you know, when he was a supervisor when I started here. And he ended up, you know, as the head one. And he left and this bloke came in. I never got on with him at all. So I bet he saw me later and tore it up and stuck it in the bin, I should think. So, you know, so I left there. Where did I go from there? I went into private security, yeah. I went in security over where all the rights were about Vietnam, where the I don't think it's there now, where the American embassy is, all over Vietnam in Grosvenor Square. And I was in there on my own. I worked a 16-hour day every other day, so you had a day off, and you did a double on the next day. And this worked out all right. I got to know the family pretty well. I won't mention whereabouts. In the there are loads of houses, but it was the American end of the square. It was a nice, pleasant time. I used to get there about 6 in the morning. It didn't start till 7. I'd pick up papers on a Sunday, bring them in, and all the rest of it. I had a little sort of place because I didn't want, you know, you can only have what the customer wants, and they didn't want parties and all the rest of it. I had a little room, and I even had my stereo sitting there, a small television. So I did rather well there. That went for a year. And then they decided they didn't want security money, they wanted a living couple that they'd had before. It bloody broke my heart. It did. I'd got to know all the children, the different families. You know, they were all rich families. I ain't saying who or what, but that was pretty good. And then after that, I joined another company called Reliance Security, and I stayed there until I had to medically leave, which by then was 2001. That's when I turned on the telly and saw 9/11 and rang me boy, said, "Are you watching this?" I said, "What film's this?" He said, "No, Dad." He said, "This is real." Anyway, I ain't much longer now because it's 13.17. Yeah, I've still got to touch on the rest of the hospitals I used to work for. So I better call it quits now, because otherwise if it goes over 15, they reject it like on their webcam. Well, I've been all through that, haven't I? So, yeah, not quite so detailed this time, I don't think. It's a matter of memory, because I've got a memory, but I get confused very easy. You know, the old brain box. And I thought if I write things down, I still might miss things out, you know. I just sort of like talk as it goes, like Richard does, really. But anyway, it's 14, just hitting 14 now. So I will call it quits and make another one. It's whenever it's quiet here, you see. Your wife's out and I shall be going out later to yet another doctor's appointment to see if the last ulcer on my leg is healed and I don't have to put flaming bandages back on. Right, I'll over and out and I'll see you later on. It's goodbye to Richard and goodbye to me hated troll.